A hush of keys, a ribbon's inked breath, a little bell. Tonight we sit beside a typewriter and listen to words arrive like soft rain. This is the first episode of my new series about the history of everyday unexceptional objects. Please subscribe and like for more. And give a comment if there is something you want covered. Set it on the desk and the room changes. The typewriter is small thunder made gentle, a compact meadow of metal stems waiting to bloom. Its body is a dust-colored shell, cool to the touch, its keys are round moons under your fingers. The paper slips in like a tuck blanket, straight against the platen's rubber spine. When you turn the side knob, the world rolls forward one quiet line at a time. Somewhere inside, a ribbon holds a midnight lake of ink, ready to leave its tender shadow wherever the letters land. The carriage rests like a waiting bird, the return lever is its wing. You press, and the machine answers, not loud, not fierce, but steady, a tap that becomes a pattern that becomes a calm. Between taps, you can hear the room breathe, the lamp purring, a window faintly rattling with evening air. As the first line appears, the typewriter remembers its long road, centuries of curiosity and careful hands, bringing the clack and bell of written thought into kitchens, offices, train compartments, and quiet bedrooms like this one. Long before this familiar chorus of keys, people dreamed of machines that could place letters quickly and neatly on a page. In the early 1700s, an English craftsman, Henry Mill, imagined such a device and secured a patent for a writing machine. His idea sat like a seed in winter, described, protected, but not yet sprouting into common use. Over a century later, through the 1800s, an age of steam and workshops, of brass fittings and patient experiments, tinkerers across Europe and America built curious contraptions with arms and hammers, with wheels of letters and delicate levers. They were part music box, part printing press, always reaching for a way to turn human speech into a rhythm of mechanical touch. In the mid-1800s, a trail of prototypes flickered into being, a typographer here, a writing machine there. Some looked like pianos, with long, elegant keys, others resembled clocks, with rotating mechanisms that kissed the paper one character at a time. Each model carried a little hope and a lot of complication. Speed was possible, but jams were constant, elegance shone, but reliability trembled. Still, the idea persisted, a device that could make writing faster, clearer, and more uniform, words arriving not in looping inked curls, but in firm, even footprints. Then, in the later 1860s, in the workshop hum of the American Midwest, a newspaperman and inventor named Christopher Latham Scholes, working alongside dedicated partners, refined a design that finally felt like the future. Their machine arranged letters so that metal arms would tangle less, a keyboard took shape under the fingers, words started to fly. The layout, QWERTY, wasn't an anthem or a riddle, just a practical answer to sticky paths and human habit, a pattern that the hands would learn like a lullaby. By the 1870s, a sewing machine company, accustomed to careful metalwork and household tools, took a chance on the invention. The typewriter stepped from garage light into factory daylight and then onto shop counters, ready to join modern life. Through the 1880s and 1890s, improvements came like soft rain on a thirsty field. The writing where you could finally see your words as you typed. Ribbon spooled more smoothly, frames grew sturdy but graceful. Offices learned the new rhythm, and with it came a transformation in who wrote, where, and how quickly. The typewriter carried letters into law offices and shipping houses, it sent invoices, reports, and memoranda out into the humming world of trains and telegraphs. The early 1900s brought a star of the desk, the standard office model with proud carriage and springy keys, joined by nimble portables that folded into cases for travel, like small black suitcases full of possibility. In the 1910s and 1920s, reporters set them on cafe tables, students perched them on dormitory trunks. The machine had become both tool and companion. Mid-century added its own grace notes. In the early 1960s, a sleek innovation condensed the alphabet to a single pivoting sphere, the golf ball, swapping fonts like a wardrobe of voices and making each strike a concentrated whisper of precision. Electronic circuits soon joined the chorus, smoothing the motion, softening the touch. But the typewriter's heart stayed the same, a conversation between finger and paper, where thought became imprint in a measured rain of letters. By the late 20th century, computers arrived with silent screens and blinking cursors, and the typewriter's role changed from necessity to choice, from the main road to a cherished side path. Yet the machine did not vanish. It moved to attics and thrift shops, to the desks of poets and letterwriters who loved the ceremony of loading paper, the honesty of no delete key, the small bell that marked the line's end like a gentle reminder to breathe. The journey that began as a patent on a page and a dream in a workshop now rests in the hush of night, right here, where your hands meet the keys. Picture an office at the turn of the 20th century, high ceilings, tall windows, the light laced with dust. Rows of desks hold cast-iron bodies with nickel trim. At each station sits a typist with sleeves neatly rolled. Skirts brush the floor, collars shine starch white. The day is a soft percussion, tap tap tap, carriage return, ding. Letters to clients. Bills of lading for goods that will cross oceans by steamship. A ledger balanced. A contract tidy as a garden. In this room, the typewriter turns the buzz of commerce into legible music, and many of the hands at the keys are women, finding respectable work and a new place in the city's daily heartbeat. The machine opens a door, skill becomes livelihood, precision becomes pride. Now step to a newsroom in the 1920s. The city outside is a fog of streetcars and early jazz. Inside, cigarette smoke curls in lazy scripts above the desks. A reporter feeds paper into a portable with a scuffed case. The first line hits the platen like a cymbal brushed with velvet. Names, places, hours, facts arranged in clean rectangles of type. The machine's voice is quick but never frantic. Even in the rush of a deadline, it keeps a steady count, letters finding their march like footsteps on wet pavement. On the copy boys run to the composing room. The page is still warm with the day's urgency, yet the look of it is calm, evenly spaced characters, margins like trimmed hedges. In a small apartment in the 1930s, a student sits by a radio that murmurs dance bands from distant halls. On the table, a cup of tea cooling, a stack of notes, a portable typewriter whose lid is propped against a chair. Hands move from pencil scribbles to the machine's ready keys. The essay takes shape, a page about history, another about poetry, each line arriving with a quiet authority that hand script struggles to deliver. Outside, streetlights bloom like soft moons. Inside, the page grows safer, more official, as if the facts themselves were relieved to be wearing tidy suits. A decade later, wartime letters cross borders and seas. In offices behind the front, typewriters click out lists, orders, and rosters. In homes, they tap out the careful paragraphs of longing and reassurance. The machine gives a kind of order to uncertainty, names spelled clearly, dates that can be trusted, addresses that postal clerks can follow even when their hands are cold. A ribbon's ink becomes a small anchor, each character a pledge that someone on the other end will be able to read what the heart is saying. In the 1950s, an office pool glows beneath fluorescent light. The rhythm here is communal, a chorus line of machines stepping in time. Carriages shoot left, ding, and return like well-trained birds. Carbon paper, sleek, inky, makes twins and triplets of each page. Stenographers translate shorthand curls into squared-off letters. Secretaries become the quiet authors of their company's memory, turning voices into documents, meetings into minutes, promises into contracts. At 5 o'clock, covers are snapped shut, dust covers drawn, and the floor's cadence slows to a hush. At a kitchen table in the 1960s, a poet sets a portable beside the fruit bowl. The machine is pale blue, its keys like pebbles from a gentle shore. A thought alights, and the poet catches it. Not with a pencil's hesitant line, but with a firm print that seems to say, yes, this is what I meant. Mistakes show themselves honestly, corrections are neat patches rather than vanishing acts. The poem's shape is visible as it grows, each stanza a little garden bed edged by margins. When the bell whispers at the line's edge, the poet smiles and returns the carriage, a small ritual like pulling up the blanket on a winter night. On a train in the 1970s, a portable machine sits in a lap between towns. The cars sway, the keys keep time. Outside, power lines tilt past the window. Inside, the ribbon offers its quiet black river. A traveler writes a letter to a friend across an ocean, talk of weather and work and a song heard at a cafe. The clack is steadier than the rails, the page, sturdy against the bump and glide, gathers sentences that will fold into an envelope and cross borders with a stamp like a small, bright promise. In a mid-1980s classroom, an electronic typewriter with a little memory hums on a desk. It shows a line or two on a tiny screen, then lays it gently onto paper. The sound has softened, the motion grown silkier, but the ritual remains. Paper still slides in, the return still marks progress, a letter remains a piece of ink meeting a surface with intent. Soon computers will whisper their different language, their screens holding whole paragraphs in a glowing tide. Yet in many homes, the typewriter lingers, steady as the kettle on the stove, ready to make a list, a label, a letter that feels like it has weight. And now, in our century, a collector polishes a glass-topped keycap, the teenager discovers a dusty machine at a market and falls in love with the way each strike leaves a small, perfect bruise of ink. Weddings feature typed place cards, cafes host letter nights, where friends sit together and write to people they miss. The machine's job has changed, but its charm has not. In these vignettes, the office, the newsroom, the kitchen, the train, the typewriter is both instrument and metronome, setting a pace that asks nothing more than a steady hand and a quiet room. What, then, did the typewriter bring, beyond the tidy columns of words? It offered access, a way for more people to produce professional pages without a typesetter or a printing press, a bridge between handwriting and mass communication. It gave individuals a voice that looked official, which mattered in courts and chambers, in shops and schools. It shaped work itself, a new profession of typists arose, many of them women, whose skill at the keys carved out space in the public sphere. The machine became a step in a ladder, skill to job, job to independence, independence to new choices. The click of keys stitched countless personal stories to the larger fabric of social change. It also altered the page's texture. With a typewriter, writing became an act of sculpting time into a ladder of lines. Each carriage return was a soft boundary, each ding a lantern at the edge of a path. Constraints, fixed spacing, monospaced letters, the difficulty of revision, did not only limit, they formed a cradle. Inside that cradle, many minds found focus. The absence of easy erasure encouraged patience. The impossibility of endless rearrangement gave drafts a certain dignity. You finished a page and placed it face down, warm, like bread. As technology moved forward, the typewriter turned from necessity into emblem. On book covers and cafe signs, its silhouette stands for authenticity and craft, for the romance of letters in the post. It is a symbol of memory you can touch, the slight emboss where a T hit a little too hard, the smudge where the ribbon was dry, the apostrophe that needed a second kiss to darken. In a world of screens, the typewritten page reminds us that words can exist as objects with corners and weight, that thoughts can be stacked, clipped, stored in folders that smell faintly of cedar and time. Yet the typewriter is not only nostalgia. It also whispers about continuity, the human desire to speak clearly to one another, to keep records, to send tenderness across distance. It asks us to consider the pace at which we make meaning. When you sit at the machine, you take on its rhythm, a sentence becomes a series of small, deliberate moves. You must pause to return the carriage, you must accept the mark you made. These small courtesies of patience, of acknowledgement, shade the writing itself. They make the words feel cared for. So the typewriter endures as a gentle teacher. It shows how tools shape us, not just what we produce. It invites us to slow the breath and feel language as physical: finger meets key, key meets type bar, type meets ribbon, ribbon kisses paper. A chain of contact, each link honest. This is progress of a quiet kind, not a race but a walk, where every step leaves a print you can trace back with your fingertip. Now the room has deepened into night. The lamp's circle is small and golden, the last page leans against the carriage like a tired shoulder. You breathe, and the ribbon rests. The keys, round and patient, keep their gentle faces turned upward, reflecting the faintest light. Somewhere far away, a train passes; somewhere nearer, a clock turns over a new minute. You lay your palm on the cool shell and feel, beneath the metal, the long journey that delivered this quiet to your desk. The bell is silent now, the carriage still. The paper waits, but not urgently. The typewriter, like a cat finding its spot, settles into the hush. Let your thoughts ease and your eyes grow heavy. The letters will be here in the morning, and the steady rhythm can begin again: soft taps, the mild sigh of the return, the little bell that says you may rest and start anew. Tonight, let the page be blank and kind, and let the old machine sleep, breathing ink and moonlight.